In the previous part we saw that Woo Jin Kim acted like Park Jong-won sent him to kill the Skull Guild members in the hope that they will go after Park Jong-won. Back to today's chapter, where he meets Park Jong-won at his office. He told Park Jong-won that the Skull Guild members died because they fought each other. Park Jong-won thinks that the Skull Guild have a connection to Japan. He is going to look into the factions of Japan's guilds, but he will do that after his dungeons are cleared. He just challenged a 6th floor dungeon. This is why he will not be able to enter the A+ dungeon that just has been discovered. Park Jong-won tells Woo Jin Kim to stand back and not mess with the Skull Guild until he comes back. The money for clearing the dungeon has been deposited to Woo Jin Kim's account. Park Jong-won will contact Woo Jin Kim after he cleared the dungeon, but Woo Jin Kim knows that the Skull Guild will come after him. Since he acted like Park Jong-won was supporting him from behind, he thinks that they will focus their attention more on Park Jong-won than on him. He looks forward to the reaction of Park Jong-won when he meets him again. Now that he has taken care of all the urgent things, he wants to enter another dungeon, which Park Jong-won advised him not to do. He's visiting Acey-chan's friends. The secretary and his best friend are present. His best friend appeared to be a famous person from Woo Jin Kim's past, from his previous life. His name is Jin Ah, someone who was labeled immortal. Woo Jin Kim has faced him 2 times already in his previous life. He didn't know that he was related to Acey-chan. He's going to be his examiner, someone who is going to measure Woo Jin Kim's power level, so that Acey-chan knows in the future what kind of dungeons to give. Jin Ah demands respect and does not want to talk informally with Woo Jin Kim, so he calls him out on it. Woo Jin Kim then apologizes. Acey-chan calls and asks what's the problem. Woo Jin Kim asks Acey-chan what happens if the examiner dies in the dungeon. Acey-chan laughs and says that he will be able to protect himself. Jin Ah states that if Woo Jin Kim does not meet their expectations, they will get rid of him. The secretary then wants to guide them to the entrance of the dungeon. Jin Ah tells Woo Jin Kim that he shouldn't try stupid things, as he won't be merciful to him. Woo Jin Kim knows from the past that he is very strong and knows that he is not bluffing. Acey-chan then tells Secretary Kim that if Jin Ah doesn't make it back, Woo Jin Kim officially will be their enemy. In the dungeon are 111 direwolves. Jin Ah tells Woo Jin Kim that he should catch them all by himself. Woo Jin Kim already knows that Jin Ah has the power of the blessing of the river Styx. With that power, no matter how big your injury is, you will never die. Woo Jin Kim thinks that he is extremely lucky to have a body that is immortal, but he then shows him his skeleton summoning power. A skeleton appears out of the ground, and Jin Ah is very surprised that it happened. Woo Jin Kim wants to make him regret his words and states that he will realize that it was his delusion, but Jin Ah still doesn't take the power of Woo Jin Kim seriously. He makes fun of the skeleton by asking its name. Jin Ah does not realize how powerful this skill is yet, but he gets how Woo Jin Kim cleared all the dungeons by himself, because the little skeleton is killing all the monsters by himself. Even though he is very little, he moves like an advanced player. Jin Ah realizes that he is a dangerous enemy and that he is not an ordinary person. He states that he will tell Acey-chan about his power after they finish the dungeon. He thinks that the skeletons are being a bit too rough, but 5 are not able to take him down. Woo Jin Kim reminded him that he was only going to sit back, but Jin Ah tells that it was a joke. He tries to attack Woo Jin Kim, but Woo Jin Kim immediately counters. He told him that it's a nice try to attack the summoner instead of the skeletons themselves. Jin Ah realized that he has been hiding his skills, but he isn't going to tell any of Acey-chan's secrets even if he's defeated. But Woo Jin Kim makes no jokes as he threats Jin Ah with his life. He hangs him up on a tree since he does not want to kill him, but Jin Ah likes food, so the first question is if he's going to let him starve to death. But Woo Jin Kim then unties the rope and let him fall to the ground. He tells Jin Ah that it's his turn to show his skills. He wants him to be a bait so that the soldiers can easily attack. If he does not do this, he will be tied up again. So he's distracting the monsters. They all come at him, and the skeleton soldiers slice them up while they're distracted. But Jin Ah shows his power also. He stands up and fights back. Woo Jin Kim states that he isn't the same person as he was in his previous life, but he is still not weak. He will be useful for Woo Jin Kim in the future. Jin Ah then complains that he didn't got a break, but another monster is attacking him again. He calls a skeleton over to finish the job, which he easily does. Jin Ah then wants to give him a high five, but the skeleton soldier does not know how to react to that. Jin Ah gets mad that he's being ignored by a bone puppet. Woo Jin Kim then again realized that he is very different from the past. He was very destructive and angry, a really different person from who he is right now. He realized that there might be a trigger that caused him to be this angry. It might have something to do with the Messiah Guild killing Acey-chan in the previous life of Woo Jin Kim. He wonders how this will affect the Messiah Guild in the future. Jin Ah then admits that Woo Jin is superior in every aspect. He asks if he can take a break, but Woo Jin shows him collection sockets with goblin blood in it. He throws it on Jin Ah. As we know from the previous part, goblin blood is a snack for lizard warriors. So a lizard warrior appears and immediately attacks Jin Ah. He does not know the reason why he is the bait right now, but he notices that it's only going after him. He distracts the lizard warrior by deflecting his attack, while a skeleton soldier attacks the lizard warrior from behind. It is in a lot of pain. It looks in the direction where the skeleton soldiers are standing, but he does not see them since he only sees heat. Jin-Ah notices that he doesn't attack the skeleton soldiers. Wu Jin told Jin-Ah to run, so he realized that he was planning this all along. Jin-Ah was then sent flying by the lizard warrior. He lands on a tree, but as mentioned before, no injury is too much for him. He rushes towards the lizard warrior and attacks him. He punches him in his stomach, which causes him to fall down to his knees. This is the time for the skeleton soldiers to attack the lizard warrior. The swords of the skeleton soldiers were covered with Wu Jin Kim's blood, so it activates the poison blood skill as they stab the lizard warriors with their swords. The lizard warrior has been defeated. Wu Jin has leveled up. He also got a new achievement, and his skill levels also rose. But then a mutated orc appears, but the skeleton soldiers handle him well. Wu Jin states that if they get taken down one by one, that he needs to summon more. The skeleton soldiers already defeated 50 trolls. They are now done with the dungeon. Jin-Ah wants to leave, but Wu Jin still has something to do here. He walks to the dead lizard warrior. He then cuts its stomach and takes something out of it. He's trying to grab something. It's a lizard egg, where he was talking about a few days ago. The Messiah Guild wanted to hide his egg very bad, so he wonders why it is so special. The dungeon was only cleared if they secured a certain item. Wu Jin crushes the egg and sees a skill page in it. It's a power to be resistant to every poison. He wonders how this skill could be here. Someone obtained that skill in his previous life. It was the king of the deadly poison. Wu Jin Kim tried to take him down many times with his guild. A lot of comrades died because of this mission, so this was also set up by the Messiah Guild. Discovering this made him very angry again. Since so many deaths of his comrades were planned by his own guild, he acquired this skill by ripping the page, but he is still mad about what he just discovered, and Jin-Ah notices that. They leave the dungeon and head to the office of Acey-chan. He sees a delivery bag, so he thought that Acey-chan bought food for them, but there's only water in it, so he gets very disappointed. Acey-chan then calls him and compliments him on clearing the dungeon in less than 3 days. He then tells that a dragon hunter called the Golden Dragon in the 5th-floor dungeon. That dragon is valued for its skin, but Wu Jin Kim knows that they will later discover that the gastric juice is of more value. He wants to get a hold of this. The next morning, Acey-chan lets Jin-Ah read something. He is going to enter the A+ dungeon with the snake, but he does not want to enter alone. He is thinking about someone he could enter it with, but he is leaving out Wu Jin Kim, so Acey-chan suggests to take him with him, but he declines. Then Acey-chan takes out a recording where Jin-Ah states that he will work with anyone if they are strong enough, and if they don't get in his way, it will be even better. He is surprised that Acey-chan kept this recording, but he already finished the registration, so Jin-Ah has to enter with Wu Jin Kim, but they have to enter under another name, so Acey-chan bid on it as a Russian guild, so Wu Jin Kim and Jin-Ah have to fake that they are from Russia. They are in their waiting rooms before entering a dungeon. Wu Jin Kim now has long blonde hair and Jin-Ah has brown hair, since they are disguised as Russian players. Acey-chan gave Wu Jin Kim a new skill to control the undead from his nerve system. He called him this morning for this. Since Wu Jin Kim didn't want to enter the dungeon, Acey-chan convinced him by giving him a legendary rank skill, which was the Grim Reaper's mask. Even the immortal king John George desired it but wasn't able to get it. Wu Jin Kim wants to test the Grim Reaper's mask as soon as possible, so he's going to do it at the 1st floor. They enter the dungeon and it's a survival quest. They have to survive for 5 days. Wu Jin Kim wants to do the first test, but Jin-Ah is traumatized. He thinks that it will be like the last time, but he was just talking about the item. He tells Jin-Ah to move to a quiet place. He puts on the Grim Reaper's mask to test it. He then sees a string, which is connected from the skeleton to him. He can control it since it's connected to his nerve system. It's hard to control, so it moves weird. Jin-Woo now also sees from the skeleton perspective. He tells Jin-Ah to take his hands off him. He then gets afraid since the skeleton talked, but it was Wu Jin Kim. He states again that it's very hard to control, and he has to practice before he can fight like an advanced player. Meanwhile, the team captain of the Hataya Guild suggests that they shouldn't move hastily since they don't know what kind of monsters there are. This doesn't hold back Wu Jin Kim and Jin-Ah since they are fighting the orcs. Wu Jin practiced a little with the skeleton soldier and he is already able to take out the orcs in an instant with it. Jin-Ah states that it's too much that he can also control the skeleton soldiers from a distance. He thinks that it's not fair since he's not risking his own body and his life anymore. He then summons another skeleton, but it takes much more power and energy, but this this was just a warming up for him. He tells Jin-Ah to follow him since they have to prepare for a lot. He cuts down trees, and Jin-Ah helps him, but he does not know for what reason. Meanwhile, the other guild members are still doing their best to kill the weaker monsters. The other guild members realize that the number of monsters is too small. The reason for that is that Woo Jin Kim and Jin-Ah are killing all the monsters, but they don't know that, so they decide to scout around since the monsters are not coming to them. The guilds realize that they have to take a risk in order to find what they are looking for.